Hello, everyone. This is Maryann here from Random Sage. I'm forgetting where I am. You're listening to Random Sage, of course, with Maryann from Revealing Light. This is my weekly podcast that I so enjoy doing. There's so much to talk about, whether it be metaphysical, whether it be within the psychic realms, through to trying to make sense out of a chaotic global situation like the Middle East or Ukraine or any other part of the world where it looks as though sanity has left the building. Brings me to the topic here. What do we want? What do you and I want? What do the mums, the dads, the families living in their homes in the suburbs across the world, living in their environments, pursuing their lifestyles, their day-to-day lives? What do we want? Does it even matter? Because every reading that I do on the Middle East, it looks as though some levers are being pulled by the people who want to remain in the shadows. They're not asking us what we want at all, are they? What do we want? We want a return to sanity. We want a return to diplomacy. We want a return to transparency or in decision making. Even though none of those things were perfect, they are so much better than what we have now. What we have now, of course, is polarization, division, taking sides, taking it personally, attacking one another. Sanity has left the building, hasn't it? In the Middle East, what we're all crying out for is ceasefire, hostage negotiation, pursuit of those who are committing atrocities on innocent people, regardless of which side they are, to be prosecuted, hunted down, prosecuted, taken off. You know, if the shoe fits on the current embattled leader of Israel for his haste to provoke and widen the conflict in the Middle East, then so be it. He needs to be removed as well. We are waiting, all of us, in this state of, it's like a animated state. Reminds me of the Hanged Man in the tarot, actually, where you, in the Rider-Waite, you'll see a person that is turned upside down, generally on a cross or a tree or something like that. And there's a halo around his head, a halo of light, showing that we must pause in this suspended animation to perceive the truth, to perceive the truths that will set us free. And unfortunately, the truth, when it's complicated, that's when the hanged man is needed. That's when you pause and you put yourself in someone else's shoes. You find your compassion. You stop taking sides. You understand that polarization delivered exactly the conflict that we're seeing. That vested interests and people in high places in the shadows pulling levers and beating the drum of their own war implicate and affect us all. This is very much about Pluto in Capricorn, as I keep saying to you all, getting ready to move more permanently into Pluto in Aquarius, the collective. And we're seeing a whole range of situations play out. I'm normally a fairly objective person. I value the use of stepwise logic. And I value the use of diplomacy, because very much diplomacy is about stepwise processes. Diplomacy doesn't need to be soft, although it can be. It can be very hard as well. but always diplomacy settles through communication, talking, negotiation, listening, coming to a commitment and a contract between two parties, getting what you want, getting what I want, working what we can afford to give ground on. But we're not seeing that from our leaders at this time. In fact, Qatar negotiated the release of a mother and her teenage daughter from the Hamas terrorists directly with Hamas. Powerful forces pulling levers and strings that have everything to do with their agenda and nothing to do with world peace or ceasefires. Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel, posing his own citizens who were protesting his authoritarian rule, his bid to become an authoritarian leader, not more than 6-8 weeks ago, maybe, hosing his own protesters down with water, not listening to his own citizens in the street calling for ceasefire because they know that a ground assault into Gaza will most likely result in their loved ones meeting their death. He's not listening to anyone at all. And there are implications, whether we like to admit it or not, for those that are funding Netanyahu, providing the weapons that would be used in this war between Israel and Hamas. How many lives are going to make up for the Israeli lives that were taken? How many more innocent Palestinian lives have to be taken to make up for the atrocities committed? Where does it end? I am a little bit concerned about the upcoming eclipse in Taurus. It's a full moon eclipse in Taurus on the 23rd. Sorry, October the 28th. My mistake. I think I said 23rd in another video of mine on Revealing Light channel. No, it's on the October the 28th in Taurus. It's a full moon lunar eclipse at 4:24 p.m. EDT. It's at 5 degrees and 9 minutes of Taurus, opposing the sun at 5 degrees and 9 minutes of Scorpio. Could it get any worse at this time? Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio, along with Mars and Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio, of course, rules death, transformation, rebirth. When the nodes of the moon were in Taurus and Scorpio during the years of the pandemic, previously, they're now in Aries and Libra, justice and new starts, new identities, new ways. This eclipse will be the last that we'll see in Taurus for another 20 odd years. So the sun, Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, the house of death and rebirth. And there's a square from the sun to Pluto in Capricorn, in the late degrees of Capricorn, when things are going to become quite marked for us to see, quite focused in its intensity. The old ways of doing things where vested interests ruled Pluto is squaring the moon in Taurus, making a T-square across to that sun in Scorpio. There's a T-square in this eclipse chart. A T-square is great conflict and opposition, which drives us toward solution. The solution. What is the solution that I fear might occur in the Middle East? And that is more loss of lives during a ground assault of Gaza. That is my fear, and a widening of the conflict before everyone comes together to sit down and broker ceasefires and peace talks and solutions. Uranus is at 21 degrees in Taurus, and that's also another worrying complexity of this chart. I have an astrologer friend who emails me and has been emailing me for quite some time. And she points out that Uranus was at 22 degrees in 1941. And she feels that history will repeat itself. Of course, in 1941, the Germans besieged the Soviets at Leningrad. In 1941, Greece was conquered by Germany. Britain invaded Italian Ethiopia. Japan joined Germany and Italy to form the Axis. France surrendered to Germany, and it goes on and on and on. That was in 1940. So from the period from 1940 through to 1941, we have this Uranus at 21 degrees. I don't, well, I hope that we don't have to face the prospect of the US and allies putting boots on the ground in the Middle East. I hope that doesn't occur. But from my readings of the situation, it looks like we have a way to go. More deaths, more lives lost, more innocent lives lost before we are pulled back into using diplomacy, negotiation to find ways forward. What can we do about this sitting in our homes, worrying about the future? What can we do? I was contemplating this the other day. I've had a bit of time to think because I've been off sick for the last week or so, and that's forced me to actually rest. Sometimes when you're resting, you've got time on your hands, you can worry. You can worry more because, what's that saying? Idle hands. But in this instance, I was drawn into the present moment. And in that present moment, I saw a bird land on the grass outside to pick its way through the grass seeds. I saw a beautiful white orb. I see orbs inside all the time. Outside, they're harder to perceive, but on this occasion, they weren't. They weren't hard to perceive. I saw an orb float gently through the air outside my window. No, it wasn't a dandelion. It was an orb. Of late, I have been seeing almost if you can imagine a light coming on in stages down a corridor, I have been seeing flashes of light around being in that present moment in peace with myself, at one with my environment. That is when spirit connects. That's when you open your spirit, your soul, to connect with the divine, to connect with your passed over loved ones, to connect with the beautiful, beautiful elements, elemental spirits, angelic spirits that surround us, fairy spirits that surround us. It's when you reconnect with your faith. So what can you do? You can do that. You can be in the present moment, either thinking about the regret of yesterday or the worry of tomorrow, leaving that aside and being totally in the present moment. The other thing we can all do is pray for world peace. Pray for a ceasefire in the Middle East. We can stop, and we can stop right now and take a moment to pray, to send the light into the Middle East, into Ukraine and Russia, into other areas across the world that are experiencing violence and atrocity. Send that light, that divine light, into those regions, surrounding all of those people, women, children, men trying to get their families to safety, soldiers of war who do not want to be there, dictators, authoritarians who are beating the drums of war. Surround them all in light and ask for peace. Ask for ways forward to be found by our leaders that consider our wants and wishes and desires for peace. What geopolitical power concerns? One thing, peace. All right, I'm going to finish this reading or this podcast with a question. Will we return to world stability in the coming years? The types of initiatives which would now be called innovations, like diplomacy, like negotiation. Will we return to world stability in the coming years after all of this is done with? Because for the truth to emerge, things often have to get worse before they get better, because it shocks us out of our complacency. Will we return to world stability in the coming years, please? Show me clearly, will we return to world peace, world stability in the coming years? So I'm getting the Eight of Wands, so we get a quickening of our development. Often when it's darkest, we get to perceive the light of hope. So I have in my hand here the Knight of Wands, things moving very quickly, and the Star card as the two symbols. And I just want to point out that this is definitely, this Star card is indicating to me that there will be a ceasefire eventually negotiated in the Middle East. We get the Seven of Cups as the foundation, the wrongness of the choices that are being made right now, and a draw to the eclipse. The ground assault into Gaza is the wrong thing to be doing. Who am I to have that opinion? Well, it's not even opinion. It's a deep knowing. It's the worst of options to pursue at this time. The Page of Cups in the past, indicating something which shocked us out of complacency. The potential in all this is the new start, to start again. Will we return to world stability? There is a potential that we can and that we will. There is high levels of anxiety at this time over what is playing out, regardless of whatever the situation is. It's temptation almost. It's almost temptation to have done the wrong thing, to do the wrong thing. And we get the 9 of Pentacles in the here and now, this grab for wealth, grab for resources, grab for land, grab for territory, grab for power. I want more. The environment around, though, is at odds with that, because we want, rather than the quickness of these events, we want slowness, slow, consistent stability, consistent progress, reliable progress. Our hopes and our fears is that things will get out of control. They're already out of control, get more out of control. And our hope is that a solution can be found. The outcome card is the 4 of Swords. This is both wounded in battle. The deaths that are occurring and will occur are yet to come in the wars in the Middle East. But it's also a retreat. A retreat. Because war only leads to one thing, death. We get the King of Pentacles. Power, earthly power, those geopolitical concerns. So in one way, these leaders who have got us into these predicaments, they're on their way out as well. Because the Ace of Swords, the truth is there to be seen. We all see the footage. The truth is no longer hidden in this day of social media and lightning news reaching our doorsteps visually. We are all perceiving the truth, and that is a very powerful thing, a powerful advantage for us. There is a new start and a new climb to be made. It will take bravery, the King of Wands. It will take bravery, leaders to step up, new leaders to step up in a different way. We get the Wheel of Fortune, change. Change is coming. In that chart that I talked about, the eclipse chart on the 28th of October, Jupiter is there in Taurus, thank God. Jupiter is there sitting alongside the North Node, which Pluto is squaring in Taurus. This is all about a new beginning, becoming something new, something else. It's inevitable that we must come together. We get the Hierophant card. Do not underestimate the power of the divine to cordon off those that are pulling the leaders into certain directions, to imprison them in something of their own making, to be left behind like yesterday's news. I do see a way forward after much bloodshed. And that is the promise of hope and faith. All right, that is my podcast for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Random Sage with Maryann from Revealing Light. These are indeed trying times. I'll do something special possibly next week for Halloween. We'll look at unseen realms perhaps. We'll take a break from the chaotic world that surrounds us. Maybe go into that present moment and try and leave our worries behind. But for this week, that's my podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and bye for now.